He thought his past was buried forever, until a rainy morning led him to two little girls on a street corner. Girls with eyes just like the one woman he could never forget. But when he learns who their mother is and how little time she has left, everything changes, secrets rise, promises are made, and one man's world turns upside down in the fight to save what's left of the family he never knew he had. If you're new to the channel, then please subscribe to the channel and like the video and tell us where are you watching from. Now let's jump into the story. The rain in Portland came like it always did, soft at first, then steady, a curtain of silver falling from a pale sky. Jasper Wren stepped out of his Blacktown car, the driver offering him an umbrella, which he waved away without a word. His polished shoes splashed through shallow puddles as he crossed the narrow street, his coat collar turned up against the chill. He was headed to his favorite cafe, a tiny place with real coffee. Not the bitter corporate brew served at boardrooms and hotels. Jasper had built an empire from scratch, the kind of success people dream of and never touch. Sleek offices, a luxury penthouse, private jets, even his own fragrance line. But inside, there was a quiet ache, one he rarely acknowledged and never named. The ache had a face, a memory, and a name: Mila Gracide. Years had taught Jasper to hide his emotions well. But on that rainy morning, something shifted as he turned the corner. Near the old bookstore long since closed, its windows dusty and shelves empty, he stopped in his tracks. Beneath the torn green awning stood two girls, small, shivering, their red curls plastered to their cheeks by the rain. One clutched a teddy bear missing an eye, the other held a damp cardboard sign with uneven writing, "Medicine for Mom." It read in crooked black letters, and as Jasper's eyes met theirs, the air seemed to vanish from his lungs. The girls stared back, curious but not afraid, identical in every feature: freckles, eyes like honey touched with moss, and smiles that tugged at memories he thought were buried for good. His feet refused to move. His heart hammered. Those eyes, that color, so rare, so painfully familiar. The taller of the two girls stepped forward, her voice soft and sure despite the drizzle. "Do you have any change, mister?" she asked. "We're trying to get pills for our mom's pain." Jasper knelt slowly, his coat soaking through, his gaze fixed on their faces. "What's your mother's name?" he asked. Though he already knew the answer, the girls looked at each other, then answered in perfect unison, "Mila Grace." The world tilted, rain fell harder. Cars passed behind them like whispers. Jasper felt as if he'd been dropped into someone else's life. Mila, the girl who had once painted stars on his ceiling and kissed his knuckles like they were fragile glass. The girl who disappeared one summer with nothing but silence in her place. "I'm Jasper," he said finally, struggling to steady his voice. "I knew your mom a long time ago. Can you take me to her?" The smaller girl hesitated, hiding a little behind her sister. "We're not supposed to go with strangers," she said, her grip on the teddy bear tightening. Jasper smiled gently, rain dripping from his eyelashes. "You're right to be careful," he said, "but maybe we can take a cab together, and you can call someone at the hospital to let them know you're okay." Another twin look passed between them, the kind of silent agreement only siblings seemed to share, then a slow nod. The older girl introduced herself. "I'm Iris, and this is Ivy." 20 minutes later, Jasper stood in the hallway outside room 208 of St. Agnes Hospital. The girls had changed into dry clothes provided by a kind nurse, and were now sipping cocoa in the waiting room. Jasper looked through the glass of the hospital room door and saw her. Mila, pale, smaller than he remembered, her once fiery hair cut short and dulled by illness, her body fragile under a pile of white blankets. A doctor approached, clipboard in hand. "Can I help you?" he asked. "I'm an old friend," Jasper said, clearing his throat. "How is she?" The doctor's face shifted to that careful expression of quiet professionals. "Are you family?" "No," Jasper replied, his voice barely above a whisper. The doctor paused, then glanced toward the room. "She has stage 4 ovarian cancer, spread to her lungs," he said softly. We've given her 3 months, maybe less. Jasper felt as if he'd stepped off a cliff, air rushing around him, memories tangled in the wind. Iris had tugged on his coat moments before, her small voice floating like a raindrop. Is 3 months a long time? His hands shook as he reached for the door handle, but before he opened it, he took a breath, deep and heavy with years of regret. He had walked into that bookstore corner, expecting coffee, but found ghosts. Daughters of a woman who had once been his whole world, a woman whose time was slipping through his fingers like the rain outside. And as he stepped into the room, her eyes fluttered open, catching his, and in a voice barely louder than a sigh, she said his name. Jasper. Mila's hospital room was quiet, except for the steady hum of machines. Jasper stood by the window, hands in his coat pockets, watching the clouds shift across the Portland sky. His mind still racing from the moment her eyes had found his and whispered his name. So many years had passed, but in that small, breathless second, it felt like time had curled back on itself, looked so different, yet exactly the same, thinner. Now tired in a way he couldn't begin to imagine. But her eyes still held that same stubborn spark. You really came, she said. Her voice soft but warm. Jasper pulled a chair closer. I didn't know you were here. I didn't know about any of this. Mila gave a slow nod. I tried to tell you, she said. But you never answered, so I stopped. Jasper blinked. Hard, confused. I never got anything from you. Not a single message. I thought you just vanished. Mila let out a breath, weak and slow. I wrote, she whispered. Hundreds of letters maybe. I thought you left me, Jasper. My heart broke thinking you just moved on. A nurse stepped into the room quietly. Adjusting Mila's drip, Jasper stood and moved aside, his heart aching with a strange, heavy regret. After the nurse left, Mila pointed to her bedside table. There's a box, she said. It's for you. It has all the letters I kept. Them, even when it didn't make sense to. Jasper reached down and pulled out a wooden box, its surface smooth from years of being held. The clasp clicked open with a soft sound, and inside were neatly folded envelopes, each one addressed to him in Mila's familiar handwriting. The first was dated just 2 weeks after he had left for college. Dear Jasper. The letter began, his eyes scanning the shaky handwriting. I miss you more than I expected. I hope school is exciting and full of big dreams. But there's something important I have to tell you. I think I'm pregnant. His hands trembled. He looked up at Mila, who was watching him with a tired, tender gaze. Our daughter, she said quietly. Her name was Camille. Jasper leaned forward, unable to find words. I had a daughter. He finally managed to whisper. Mila nodded, her eyes glassy with tears. She was incredible, smart, kind, stubborn like you. She had your smile. She went into tech, started her own company. She died last year with her husband in a car crash. They left behind Ivy and Iris. Jasper's breath caught in his chest, grief hitting him like a wave. A child he never knew. A legacy lost before it could even be shared. Why didn't you tell me again later? He asked. After the letters stopped, Mila looked away, her fingers twisting the blanket. I tried, but then your mother came to see me. Her voice was barely a whisper. She told me you didn't want anything to do with me, that you were starting a new life and didn't need old complications. Jasper's stomach dropped, a bitter taste in his mouth. She intercepted everything, he said slowly, piecing it together. The calls, the letters, all of it. She told me you moved away. Without a word, that you'd changed your mind. Mila gave a small, sad smile. We were young, and they were powerful, she said. What could I do? The box of letters sat between them like a bridge made of memories. Jasper read another, then another, watching the years pass through ink. First steps, birthday, parties, school plays, tiny victories, and quiet struggles. All lovingly recorded for a man who never knew he was supposed to be there, each letter a thread, weaving a life that could have been shared, but was stolen by Silence later that evening. Jasper stepped out into the hallway to call his mother. His jaw tight, hands cold. When she answered, her voice was cool and elegant as always. "Jasper, I was just thinking of you. Did you tell Mila I didn't want to hear from her?" he asked, his voice low and tight. There was a pause, then a sigh. "I did what was best for you," she said. "You had college, a future. A child would have ruined all that. You stole my daughter," he said, his voice shaking. "You lied to both of us for decades. Camille was a lovely name," she said softly, as if that changed anything. Jasper ended the call without another word. Back inside the hospital, Iris ran up to him holding a small crayon drawing. "I made this for Mama," she said, "and for you too." The drawing showed a house with 3 stick figures, 1 tall and 2 small. "You're the big one," she added. "We didn't have a daddy, but now we do, kind of." Jasper knelt and hugged her, his heart too full for words. Later, Mila whispered to him from the bed, her voice almost a breeze. "Promise me you'll take care of them, Jasper. Don't let them go through life not knowing love." He nodded, holding her hand. "I promise," he said, "with all I have left to give." The sun peeked through the hospital blinds the next morning, a warm light spilling across the bed where Mila slept. Jasper sat beside her, the wooden box of letters resting quietly on the nearby table. Ivy and Iris had fallen asleep curled on the couch in the corner, holding each other's hands, their matching hair messy from dreams and blankets Jasper hadn't left since yesterday. He hadn't eaten, barely blinked. The world outside felt distant, like something happening to someone else. Mila's breathing was slower now, more labored. Each rise of her chest made Jasper's heart squeeze tighter. He thought of the promise he made the night before, and how much weight it carried, not just in words, but in every quiet moment he'd missed for years. A soft knock came at the door. A woman in a gray suit stepped in, her expression calm but official. "Mr. Wren," she said gently, "I'm Paige Quinn, from Child Services. We were informed you're seeking custody of Ivy and Iris." Jasper stood, trying to sound confident. "Yes, they're my granddaughters. I want them with me." She gave a polite nod, pulling a folder from her bag. "I understand your desire, but there are steps. Legal steps, background checks, evaluations, parenting interviews, DNA testing." She glanced at the sleeping girls, then back at him. "Until then, they remain under the care of the state and will be placed in foster care once their mother." Her voice trailed off, sensitive to the moment. Jasper's jaw clenched. The thought of the girls waking up to strangers, being shuffled into an unfamiliar home, made his stomach twist. "There must be something I can do," he said. "I have a home, resources, and family." Paige closed the folder gently. "Being family helps, but it isn't everything," she replied. "You're a stranger to them legally, emotionally maybe not, but on paper, we need more." After she left, Jasper turned to Mila, who had opened her eyes again, her voice barely above a whisper. "They're scared," she said. "And so am I. They've already lost their parents. Soon it'll be me too. Don't let them be alone, Jasper." He knelt beside her bed, taking her fragile hand in his. "They won't be," he said. "I swear, they're not going anywhere without me." Later that day, Jasper called his longtime friend and lawyer, Liam Garrett, explaining everything. Liam listened, his tone serious. "You'll need to act fast. We'll file an emergency petition for guardianship, but it'll be a process." Jasper sighed. "We don't have time for process. Mila doesn't have time." Liam's voice was firm. "Then we move quickly, but be prepared. This won't be simple." Meanwhile, Jasper's mother, Nora, was not quiet for long. She arrived unannounced at the hospital, her heels clicking loudly down the hallway. She wore a navy coat and the same cold air she always carried into any room. "Jasper," she said, stepping into the waiting room. "We need to talk." He stood, blocking the doorway. "About what?" She glanced toward the girls, now awake and drawing quietly on a pad of paper. "About those children," she said. "They need proper care, not sudden responsibility on a man who's barely home." "They need love," Jasper said. "Something you never gave freely." Nora's face didn't change, only her voice did. "A little lower now. I've spoken." With my lawyers. I'm filing for temporary custody as their great-grandmother. I have a right. Jasper stared at her, anger simmering in his chest. You took my daughter from me. Now you want to take my granddaughters too. Don't be dramatic, she said. This is about stability. You live in a glass tower. You work all hours. What kind of childhood is that? Jasper's voice sharpened. The kind filled with love, not control, not silence, not secrets. Mala's nurse interrupted. Miss Grace is asking for him. Jasper turned without another word, leaving Nora alone with her polished fur inside Mila's room. The light had dimmed slightly. Her eyes opened with effort. She came, didn't she? Mila asked. Jasper nodded. She wants the girls. Mila's hand reached weakly for the knitstand, her fingers tapping a small notebook. There's something you should see, Camille's journal. She kept everything, her dreams, her plans. Her tech idea. Jasper picked it up, flipping through pages of sketches, diagrams, and thoughts. She was building something, he whispered. Mila nodded. A health system. One that could catch illness before it becomes deadly, she wanted. To save people, to change lives. Jasper's hands trembled as he read. She was brilliant, he said. Just like you. Mila smiled faintly. And just like you, she replied. She had your determination, your fire. I told her not to send that letter to you. But she did anyway. Her breath hitched. Your mother lied to her too. Said you didn't want to know. Said she wasn't welcome in your life. Jasper's heart ached with fresh pain. So many stolen years, so many lies built like walls between them. I will make this right, he said. For her, for them, for you. As night fell, Ivy and Iris lay curled together in the hospital room. Their drawings scattered like petals on the floor. Mila drifted to sleep, peaceful for now, and Jasper sat with Camille's journal in his lap, her handwriting a quiet echo from a daughter he never knew, her words the blueprint for a future he was now determined to build. The morning sky was soft with gold and gray as Jasper stood in front of the courthouse. Ivy held one of his hands, Iris held the other. Both girls wearing matching coats and wide eyes filled with questions. Their hair danced lightly in the wind. Jasper had promised them pancakes after the hearing, but his stomach twisted with worry. Today was the final decision, whether they would stay with him or be sent into the unknown inside the courtroom. Rows of benches were filled with people in suits, lawyers, caseworkers, and observers. Paige Quinn sat near the front, calm and unreadable. Jasper's lawyer Liam whispered final notes. While across the room, Nora Wren sat with her legal team, her expression cool and practiced, her silver brooch gleaming like armor. The judge entered, his robe flowing behind him, his eyes scanning the room with quiet authority after opening statements and questions. The room fell still as Jasper was called to speak. He stood slowly, cleared his throat, and turned to face the judge, his voice steady but full of emotion. Your Honor, he began, I didn't know I had a daughter until a few days ago. And by the time I found out, she was already gone. But she left behind something beautiful. Ivy and Iris, her daughters, my granddaughters. They have lost more than any child should, and all I want now is to give them the kind of love and stability that was stolen from their mother and from me. He paused, glancing at the girls who watched him with quiet hope. I made a promise to Mila, their grandmother, before she passed. I said I would never let them feel forgotten. I have the means, the heart, and the commitment to raise them, not just as a guardian, but as family. After hours of discussion and evidence, the judge finally spoke, his voice kind but firm. Given the circumstances, the DNA confirmation, and the clear bond forming between Mr. Wren and the children, this court grants him full guardianship of Ivy and Iris Wren. Effective immediately. Jasper's breath caught in his throat. The girls squealed softly and wrapped their arms around his waist. And for the first time in days, he let himself exhale outside the courthouse. The sun finally broke through the clouds, and Jasper lifted the twins into the air, spinning them gently, laughter filling the cold morning air. Their future, once tangled in fear, now opened like a new page waiting to be written weeks past, and the apartment Jasper once called home began to shift. Shelves that held awards and glass sculptures now made space for storybooks and coloring supplies. The living room echoed with tiny footsteps and louder joy. Ivy learned how to make pancakes with way too many blueberries, and Iris painted the balcony door with window markers and dreams of planets with purple trees. But behind the happiness, shadows still lingered. Jasper knew his mother wasn't done. And one evening, his suspicion was confirmed when Liam handed him a file. "She's filed for appeal," he said, trying to challenge the guardianship decision, claiming mental instability and emotional interference in business operations. Jasper sat back, rubbing his forehead. "She won't stop until she gets her way," Liam nodded. "But there's more. We've been digging." And Camille's journal led us to a digital folder on a hidden hard drive, full of documents, files, communications that show something far worse. Jasper leaned forward. "Go on." Liam opened a laptop, showing emails between Nora and a senior security officer from Jasper's own company. They were selling company secrets, and when Camille started asking questions, she became a problem. There's even a note in Camille's file, meeting scheduled with Nora. 3 days before the accident, Jasper felt a deep chill, the pieces clicking together. His daughter may not have died by accident, and his mother might have known more than she ever admitted. He closed the laptop slowly. "She tried to silence the past," he whispered. "But now it's going to speak for itself." Jasper handed everything to the authorities. An investigation opened, and slowly, truth rose like morning light. Nora was arrested for corporate espionage, obstruction, and fraud. And though no criminal proof tied her directly to Camille's death, the damage was already done. Her reputation crumbled, her board position revoked, and her access to the twins forever denied months later. Jasper stood at a small ceremony in Camille's honor, Ivy and Iris by his side. They had started calling him Grandpa Jas without anyone teaching them, and each time they did, his heart grew a little fuller. The event was to launch Camille's final project, the medical detection system she'd dreamed of, completed by a team Jasper brought together using her notes and vision. The system was called Grace, after Mila, after the strength that connected their whole family. "This is for Camille," Jasper said into the microphone. "For the daughter I never got to meet, and the mother she never got to forget. Her dream is saving lives now, and her legacy lives on in these two bright girls beside me." The crowd applauded, cameras flashed. But Jasper's focus stayed on Ivy and Iris, who stood proudly with matching bracelets that read strong like month at night. They all watched the sunset from the apartment balcony, the city lights flickering below. Ivy leaned against Jasper's arm. "Do you think Mom and Grandma Mela can see us?" Jasper smiled softly, wrapping his arms around them both. "I think they're watching every day," he said. "And I think they're smiling too." Iris looked up at the stars. "Do you think they're proud of us?" Jasper kissed the tops of their heads. "I think they always were," he said. "We're just finally catching up." And as the night sky opened above them, full of stars and quiet dreams, Jasper Wren knew that though he had missed the first chapter, he was here now, for every page to come.